Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I just wanted to do a fun haul video with you. I have had such good luck lately at secondhand bookshops, especially Savers. I can't get over it. I feel like, I don't know, I've been blessed every time I walk through those doors in the last month or two. And I have found books that are not only in really good nick, a lot of them, but also that look really interesting. I've also found a bunch of books that I was like planning on buying. Like they're in my cart at Readings or the Sun Bookshop. Like I was planning on buying them. That is not to say I will not be buying from and supporting my local bookshops. Of course I will be. I'll just have to find some other interesting books to buy instead. I'm so excited about these. I'm just going to get stuck straight in. First, I'll start with one that everybody knows and I've been recommended plenty of times. It's Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go. This is one of his like the novel that people tend to rank the highest. It's definitely up there anyway. And I've sort of had a hit or miss situation with Ishiguro so far. I really liked The Remains of the Day. I hated The Berry Giant. So I picked this one up. It's one of his most beloved, one of his most acclaimed. So I feel like if I'm gonna like any of them, hopefully it'll be this one. And I got this for $3 from Savers. Score. Then this is one of the few non-fictions I managed to pick up. It's Unpolished Gem by Alice Pung. Alice is a local author. She's one of Australia's most celebrated authors at the moment. She just released a book that I've just started actually, 100 Days. I was hoping to be able to go see her at an event at the Sun Bookshop, but it's been cancelled because of restrictions and stuff. But anyway, I found this, which I think is sort of like her memoir. She grew up around Footscray, which is the area that I live in and that I love. And I've always wanted to read more of her work. I've sort of read articles and stuff of hers, but never even any of her books. 100 Days, which I've just started, is her first novel that I've read, but I was so excited to see this as well. And I think she does talk quite a lot about kind of like growing up around Melbourne and particularly Footscray. And I'm just so excited. In a wonderland called Footscray, a girl named Alice and her Chinese-Cambodian family pursue the Australian dream, Asian style. Then an author I've always wanted to read from is Amy Tan, and this is The Bonesetter's Daughter. I've never really read anything about Amy Tan's. I just sort of like see it in bookshops and stuff quite a lot when I go in and in secondhand shops. And so I picked up this one last time I was in. I don't really know what this one's about other than it's about a memoir of a young girl in 1930s China, I think. And then it's about the mother and daughter who discovered the memoir later. I don't know, but it sounds good. Then I also found this one, which is Where the Trees Were by Inga Simpson. Now, for anybody who's been part of the book club, the Blossom Book Club that I host over on the Patreon, that name may sound familiar to you. We read Inga Simpson's sort of memoir last year or the year before. Gosh, it's been a while. Anyway, I quite enjoyed that. It wasn't like my favorite thing, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed in particular her focus on nature and the land in that book. So I'm curious to see whether that sort of influence comes into her fiction writing. Finding a grove of carved trees forged a bond between Jay and her 4 childhood friends and opened their eyes to a wider world. But their attempt to protect the grove ends in disaster, and that one day on the river changes their lives forever. 17 years later, Jay finally has her chance to make amends. But at what cost? Not every wrong can be put right, but sometimes looking the other way is no longer an option. Then this one is not a book I'd heard of before. It's What We Lose. And the colours obviously jumped out to me on the shelf. It was hard to miss this book. And honestly, the fact that Bernardine Evaristo has written a recommendation in here, that pretty much sold me. She said, I loved this beautiful, honest and entrancing meditation on love, loss and the relationships that enrich and complicate our lives. And we don't get a lot of information on the back. It's mostly quotes and other people raving about it, but it does say, Thandi is a black woman, but often mistaken for Hispanic or Asian. She is American, but doesn't feel as American as some of her friends. She is South African, but she doesn't belong in South Africa either. Her mother is dying. So I don't know, sounds like it's going to be hard hitting. So I thought I'd give it a go. Then this next book I was thrilled about. I watched a video about this book the night before I went into Savers, and I had decided it's a book that I'd heard about and seen a lot over the years, and I decided that night that I would like to read it. I would like to try it. I walk into Savers and I found it. It's Autumn by Ali Smith. Now, I think people were calling it like the seasonal quartet or something. She's written 4 books, autumn. What comes after autumn? Winter, spring, summer. So this is the first in Ali Spring's quartet that I think has just finished. And I just hear a lot of good things about it, and it's always made me curious. I honestly don't really know what these stories are about. I just hear people saying that the writing's beautiful and that the story's quite like big and family focused, so I'm looking forward to it. So I don't know, I've just been sort of like curious about these books ever since I started seeing them on the shelves years ago. And I guess it's about time that I give it a go. And for $3, who can say no? And then it just keeps getting better. I found She I Dare Not Name by Donna Ward, which is actually a book I bought my mum for her birthday or for Christmas last year. I don't think this is mum's copy. Mum, did you donate it? I don't think you did. Anyway, my mum loved this book, and I sort of was curious about reading it too. I mean, the subtitle is A Spinster's Meditations on Life, which sounds like a dream. Both manifesto and confession, this moving memoir explores the meaning and purpose Donna Wood discovered in a life lived entirely without a partner and children. So this is only like a fairly new release, like in the last few years, and like this doesn't look like it's really been read. I think there's a bookmark in there, so I think they got about 20 pages in. And this was a book I was either planning on buying new or borrowing from mum, and now I don't have to do either of those things. And then a book that I was not planning on buying, I didn't really know much about, but when I saw it on the shelf at Savers, I was captivated. I was excited by the blurb. This is The Glad Shout by Alice Robinson. This won the Readings Prize in 2019, and it is sort of like dystopian near future sci-fi set in Melbourne, I think. It says, after a catastrophic storm destroys Melbourne, Isabel flees to higher ground with her husband and young daughter. Food supplies run low, panic sets in, and still no hope arrives. To protect her daughter, Isabel must take drastic action. The Glad Shout is an extraordinary novel of rare depth and texture. Told in a starkly visual and compelling narrative, this is a profoundly moving homage to motherhood and the struggles faced by women in difficult times. So, climate crisis fiction set in the city that I live in? Hit me up. That's not going to make my climate anxiety worse. I'm not going to have nightmares about that at all. I'm fine. Then Black Work by Alison Whittaker is a book that I was definitely planning on buying. It's one of those books that I've like put in my cart several times, but then I'm like, I can't buy 10 books at once. Calm down. I'll get it later. I got it at Savers. Score. I've seen a lot of people really raving about this, and it sort of mixes memoir, I think reportage, and then also poetry. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's just, I think it'll be a fairly short read, but sounds like it's a really good one and an impactful one. Then I'm so excited about this. I found Heat and Light by Ellen Van Neven. This is a book that I've been wanting to get for so long. It's like another one of those books that's always at the top of my list or very, very close to it, but you know, something new and shiny catches my eye and trumps it for some reason. Anyway, it's just a book that I've heard so many good things about and that I'm so excited to read. Another Australian author, an Aboriginal author, a queer author. Does it get any better? I think this was her debut too, and it says on Goodreads that Ellen takes her readers on a journey that is mythical, mystical, and still achingly real. Over 3 parts, she takes traditional storytelling and gives it a unique contemporary twist. And even just the cover, it looks quite eerie. I don't know, I'm really excited for it. Then I think the book I am most thrilled about is I found Tara June Winch's After the Carnage. So I've read and loved, like everybody, The Yield by Tara June Winch. I also read Swallow the Air this year by her as well. And so I was so excited when I found this, her other book that I have not yet read. This is one that I definitely have nearly picked up several times because I knew I was going to read this book at some point. I didn't really have like a time frame on it, but I knew that sometime in the next year or two I would be wanting to read more from Tara June Winch because I've just absolutely enjoyed her writing. I think, I don't know, The Yield is probably one of my all-time favourite Australian books, and I think she is an author that I will read almost anything from at this point. So this, unlike her other 2 books that I've read, I think is a collection of short stories rather than a novel. So I'll be interested to see what Tara June Winch does with a shorter format. Then I have a few other books that I picked up because they looked interesting or I liked the cover. But I don't really know anything about, so I don't have anything to say. So I'll just tell you what they are. My Sister Lives on the Mantelpiece. I don't know, I liked the cover and the colours, and I thought the title sounded cool. How We Are Translated. Again, I just thought it sounded interesting. Ooh, don't drop everything. A Burning, which doesn't look like it's been read, and sounds really interesting. And then also the Frangipani Gardens, which I actually got someone connected to the society that runs the bookshop that I work at, passed away last year and donated all her books to the library and the bookshop. And there were a few books that sort of like didn't suit the library or the bookshop, and so have been put up for, you know, you can donate a couple of bucks and buy some books. And so this is one of the books that I picked up just because I thought I'd read some more Australian fiction at some point. Why not? Anyway, so that's a stack of secondhand books that I found recently at secondhand bookshops and mostly Savers, which is thrilling. I love collecting books. I love book shopping. It's just a joy to sort of wander through the aisles of potential and so many stories. It's just one of my favorite things to do. But it is nice when I can do that with secondhand books. It's wonderful to pick up secondhand books, and I always am thrilled when I find some good ones. But I do feel like this, with like Tara June Winch, Ellen Van Niven, like Black Work, like I can't remember a time where I've had like a better secondhand book haul. Anyway, I know this isn't revolutionary content, but I do hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and hearing about some of the cool books that I managed to find at a bargain. I'm excited about them and I can't wait to read them and hopefully talk to you about some of them sometime in the future too. But I think that's enough from me, so thank you so much for hanging out. I'll talk to you again soon. Until then, so much love. Bye.